everyone, welcome back. So in our last video, we discussed about if-else statements in Swift. In this video, we are going to discuss about switch statement. So let's say if we have multiple conditions in if-else, the ladder will become very huge. We will have if, then else if, then again else if, and then there will be multiple else if condition to handle those conditions. In that case, the code gets very messy with multiple else if conditions, and that is why we need a better alternative. Using switch statement, we can make our code easy to read, scalable, and much safer. So let's jump directly into playground to see it into action. So in the playground, I already have a variable named day created, and we will be creating if-else statement to print what the day of the week today is. So let's say if day is equal to 1, we want to print Monday. Else if day is equal to 2, we want to print Tuesday. And similarly, else if day is equal to 3, we want to print Wednesday and so on. I will not write all those cases. I'll just write print not Monday and Tuesday. Alright. So if we have, let's say, 7 cases, because there can be 7 days, so we will have to write multiple else if statements, and we will have to write it multiple times to match this case. And it will become very messy and hard to read once we have written down all the cases. Currently, we only have one print statement in the code block, but generally, when you are developing the apps, there will be multiple lines of code written between these code blocks, and it becomes very hard to read when there are so many lines of code within one code block. So it becomes very messy and hard to read, and that is why we needed some alternative, and that is where switch statement comes into play. So same thing, we'll see how we can achieve it using switch statement. So when we use switch statement, the syntax is we will write switch, then day, the name of the variable, and then we will open the brackets, and inside the brackets we will have case 1. Then what we want to print, we want to print Monday when the value of day is 1. If the value of day is 2, we want to print Tuesday. If the case doesn't match, like if the value is neither 1 nor 2, we can say we want to print not Monday or and Tuesday, sorry. Here also it will be or, doesn't matter actually. Yeah. So if you compare these syntax of if and switch, you will find a few similarities. Like here, if the conditions doesn't match, then the else block is executed. Similarly, in switch statement, if the condition doesn't match, then the default block is executed. Here, we were comparing if day is equal to 1. Similarly, in switch also, we have cases. We have different cases. So day can be either 1, 2, and 10, 7. So we can create 7 cases, and whatever we write here, this should be the value of day to print this statement. So when we say switch day, the value of day, let's say, is 1 currently. So this case will be executed and all other cases will be ignored, just like the if else statement. So this code got executed and other code got ignored. Let's just comment this out so that we can actually look into console what is getting printed. So the current value of day is 1. So in our case, Monday should be printed, and you can see on the console too, Monday is printed. If the value is 2, then Tuesday should get printed, and you can see Tuesday got printed. Similarly, if let's say the day is 20, so this case doesn't match, case 1 doesn't match, case 2 also doesn't match, so it will go to the default case, which is not Monday or Tuesday, and you can see not Monday or Tuesday got printed. So switch, you can see, is much cleaner. Instead of writing else if day is equal to 2, you can just say case 2. So this, you can see, is much cleaner. Please understand the syntax. First of all, we will have keyword switch, then the name of the variable, then we will have different cases of it. If it is integer, we are showing integer here. We will see an example of string 2 so that you get a better understanding of how different data types work. So in case of integer, because day is an integer, the case is also a integer value. If it was a string, the case will also have a string value. We'll see an example of string too. Also, one more thing. Let's say we don't have the default condition here and we only have case 1 and 2. You will see it will start throwing an error that switch must be exhaustive. This means is the value day. If the value of day is 1, it will work. If the value of day is 2, it will work. But if let's say the value of day is something else, currently 20, in that case, switch doesn't know what to do because there is no matching cases. So in that case, default is mandatory so that switch knows that if none of the cases are matching, then I can go to the default block. So that is why having a default in switch is mandatory so that you can cover all the cases possible. Please make sure you understand the syntax well. Switch keyword, then the name of the variable, then the code block will open. Then we will have different cases. We will write it as case space 1 and then colon. Then we will write print Monday. Whatever code block that you want to write, you can write it here. Not just single, you can have multiple statements written here like this, or multiple line of code you can write here. Similarly, you can have another case and you can have multiple line of codes here. Then at the last, we should have a default case which will return whenever there is no case matching. Now, let us comment this out and see example of such statement using strings. So currently we saw using integer. Now let's see using a string. Switch. So let's create a value called role is equal to admin and then switch role. We want to say if user is admin, print full access. If he is an editor, print editing access. If he is a viewer, print view access. And at the last, we will have a default condition. In case when there is no role matching, then we want to say access denied. Alright. So currently you can see the role is admin. So we can see full access is printed because this case matched. What if it was written like this? Will any case match? No. You can see access denied is printed. So one thing to make sure is switch is case sensitive. We have the same wordings, but still the case doesn't match because we have A and D in caps here and here they are in small. So switch cases are case sensitive. So make sure whatever you write here is similar to what case you have created. Let's just change it to admin now in lowercase. So we have two examples now. One was of day. When day was an integer, we had to provide an integer value here. When we are using string, we have to provide string value here. There can be different cases, and if none of the case matches, then it will print the default one. Let's say if we have the case as editor, then it will first check for this case. This case doesn't match. Role is not equal to editor, so this will fail. Then it will go to this case editor, and this time it is a perfect match, so it will print this one. All the other cases after it will be ignored because we already got a working role. What if we have two similar cases? Will it work? You will see we are already getting a warning. Literal value is already handled by previous pattern. Consider removing it. Alright, so we are getting an access. We are getting the warning. Let's just ignore that warning and see if this case is getting printed or this one. So I made the print messages different to see which one is printed first. So you can see in the console, this editing access got printed first and this one was ignored. Why? Because as we discussed, it runs line by line. So the role is editor, it will come here first, case admin, it will compare. The value doesn't match, it will jump to next case, Now it got a match, editor is equal to editor. This is a perfect match. So this line got printed. And even though we had another case below with same value, it will never execute it. Why? Because it already got a correct answer above it. So once it gets a matching case, it ignores all the cases that are coming below it. Now, let's say there was also a role called manager, and if the role is manager, then also we want to provide full access to him. So let's say we want to say we have a role called manager, and he also has full access. All right, and we write down manager here. So you can see we have two values, admin and manager, that will have same level of access. So instead of writing it two times, two different cases for admin and manager, what we can also do is, instead of writing it like this, we can just say when case is admin, comma, manager, give him full access. So instead of creating multiple cases, if the behavior is same, we can just add a comma between cases and this will also work. So instead of creating a new case for manager, we just wrote it in same line as admin because admin and manager have same level of access. So we just combined both of these by just using a comma. You can see how easy to read this code looks now. Instead of using if-else statement where we will have multiple else-if conditions, this looks much cleaner. Now let's take another example. We will just comment it out. Let's say we have a variable named score and we want to say that if the value of score is between 80 to 90, he got a grade A. If the value is between 70 to 80, then he got a grade B. And if the value is below this, he got a grade C. So we can say switch score case 90 to 100. Then we want to print grade A. Otherwise, if it is between 80 to 90, we want to print grade B. Else we want to print grade C. So you can see, so this range operator we have already discussed in our previous lectures. If you haven't seen it yet, I will add the link to the lecture on top right. You can go and check. This can also be used in switch statement. This is a close range. So we are saying that if the value of score is between 90 to 100, this will be printed, grade A will be printed. And if the value of score is between 80 to less than 90, which means 90 is not included, if the score is between 80 to 89, grade B will be printed. And if none of this case matches, then we can print the default one, which is grade C. So let's say we make the score as 90. So which line do you think will get printed? So you can see the score is 90 and grade A got printed. So I hope you got an understanding of how to use switch cases. I will definitely ask you to write 2-3 switch cases by yourself also, so that you can get the syntax clarity. Try it on your own. All the examples that we have taken, try to do it once in your playground and see if you are able to achieve it or not. So that's it for this lecture and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks a lot.